Hey guys, this is Dennis, the founder of Think Hero.
And I'm David Griffin, your resident comic book and video game guru.
And this is our review of Thor, the Dark World, the second Thor,
Yes.
Thor 2.
Marvel Phase 2 has commenced, yes.
So, before we get into any type of spoilers and stuff, let's just talk about in general terms. What did you think of it?
I liked it. I thought it was great. I liked it even better than the first. Not like so much better, but I thought it was a little bit better. Tons of comedy. Way more comedy than I thought there would be. I mean, director Alan Taylor coming over from Game of Thrones, thought it might be a little bit, like the trailer looked a little dark, like the dark world. It's going to be dark, but there's comedy. Like they never let it get too serious, which I liked.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well, and I think I liked it a little bit more than the first one, but it's on par with it. You know, I do think there was more and better action in this one than the first one.
It felt bigger.
Because in the first one, I felt like it peaked action-wise, kind of in the beginning, or not in the beginning, but I forgot when they fought the Frost Giants.
Right, yeah.
And that was like the best scene of the first one, and the end sequence wasn't that great.
Right.
Where this one, it kind of builds, and the best action sequences are, at the end was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, this movie feels bigger. It feels more epic in scope. I mean, I won't spoil anything, but even the opening sequence, very Lord of the Rings-esque, very like just kind of vignette with the storytelling, and it just felt like kind of like a Lord of the Rings battle. Of course, as you know from the trailers, there are elves involved, so it was good. I mean, everything was just bigger and better special effects. I mean, I thought it was just great. I thought the writing was strong. It's good. I thought Kevin Brennan being away, I was a little bit worried, but with Alan Taylor, I thought he did a good job.
Yeah, and you're right about the comedy. There's a lot of comedy in there. Some people might find it too much.
Yeah.
If you're, maybe like a diehard comic book fan, you're like, wow, this
maybe too silly.
Yeah, maybe you want it to be more serious and a little silly. The main story, for me, just wasn't anything really that special. It was just kind of like they did it so they could have some cool action sequences.
That was the one weakness. I agree. I think I don't want to butcher his name. Is it Ecclesian? How do you say his last name? The bad guy.
Oh, Eccleston.
Eccleston. Yeah, I was way off. I wasn't even close. Doctor Who fans. He's done other things. He was a good actor, strong actor. His character really wasn't well developed. No. He's just kind of I'm going to bring the universe to darkness. I'm like, but why? Like, what's your motivation?
Like I remember I was arguing with some people online. They were saying like, well, they explained that the dark elves lived in a time of darkness and they want to bring it back again. I'm like, okay, why?
Yeah, why? Yeah, it's like,
so,
I get it, but what's so good about the darkness? Why do they hate the light so much? Like, give me a little more explanation.
Or just motivation. Okay. It was better for them.
Yeah.
Well, how was it better for them? Why does this guy in particular, why is he the leader? Why does he want to do this? So,
why do people follow him? Why do they, all this stuff,
So, for me, the villain, it wasn't his fault, but like the villain was kind of more of a plot device. It was to serve the fact, we'll get into this more in the spoiler section, but it was to serve more the plot device of getting Thor and Loki to team up together.
Which, in typical comic book fashion, I think that's why you and I are probably a little forgiving of it, is because that's how a lot of comic books are. A lot of the villains in comic books until nowadays aren't really well developed. They're the evil, I'm evil guys. I mean, until modern comics a little more well developed, but it's what you kind of expect from a comic book. It's fine. But I would have because of the actor, I do like him. I think he could have done more. They could have given him more to do.
And speaking of Thor and Loki, that dynamic is awesome. It's great in this. In this movie, it's the best dynamic that the Marvel Universe has right now, because it's this thing where Loki's the villain, but he's not really the villain.
Everybody loves him. People love him.
The girls love him more than they love Chris Hemsworth.
Right. I mean, he's the guy that when he comes on screen, people kind of cheer for, get excited. I'm sure a lot of people saw the Comic-Con video of him doing that whole thing, like say my name. The crowd just goes nuts because they love him.
Well, because there's depth to his character. Because he's not just, I'm an evil villain. Right. It's like, no, he's more of a tortured person who has, a lot of the things that he does that, that are considered bad or evil. There's a purpose or a reason because of, he feels spurned by his father.
Got some daddy issues.
Daddy issues and jealousy of envious of his brother.
And that's what the villain in this movie I thought lacked a little bit. Not that he had to have the same story as Loki. He could have had a whole different story. But because he's just so evil, and dark, I'm like, gotta give me a little something. It doesn't have to be funny.
No.
But give me something more,
Yeah, and So yeah, I thought the action was good, comedy was good, visual effects were really good. I think Alan Taylor did a really good job with it. I think pacing was good. I think the story could have been done better.
Right.
But I think it was just to serve everything else.
Sure. Yeah.
I kind of wish we could have seen more of the Warriors 3.
Yeah, that was a big complaint from the first one. We got a little bit more of them this time, but it's still not enough. I want to see more Sif even. We got more Jamie Alexander, who should be Wonder Woman, but I would have liked to see a little bit more of her.
Yes, and I also they kind of hinted at this love triangle between Thor, Jane Foster, and Sif. Sif is in love with Thor.
Right,
Thor's in love with Jane, and she's jealous
I'm always
of
a Sif
Jane.
fan myself. I like Sif.
Yeah.
Well, even in the comics, I love Lady Sif. I'm sorry, Jane Foster. I'm sorry. I can't.
Well, I think she's a better fit for Thor.
Lives about the same length of period of time.
Yeah, and she's just. Lives that same lifestyle.
Right.
I mean, I still haven't. I mean, that's another weakness, and this comes from the first movie as well. Is Thor and Jane Foster's relationship, their love interest.
It's a little weak.
Yeah,
there's nothing dynamic about. I mean, I love Natalie Portman.
She's gorgeous.
She's gorgeous. She's a great actress. But like as a character, there's really nothing. She's smart. She's a smart scientist lady. But Sif is like. She's a badass warrior woman. I mean,
I just don't feel the chemistry. Not that it's bad. It's not like Tom Hanks, Audrey Tautou in Da Vinci Code bad. But at the same time, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
Where you got like Robert Downey Jr. and Gwyneth Paltrow in Iron Man.
That's a good relationship. It's a great.
You get a nice dynamic going there. I don't get that from this.
Right. Yeah. Portman in the role. I feel like it's one of those roles that you could put. Like she's almost taking a vacation because we know she can act. We've seen Black Swan. I know she's great, but it feels like she doesn't really need to do that much. She's just kind of in the movie, I think you could almost put any actress in there, but I don't know. I mean, hopefully Sif and Thor 3. I know Marvel's working on Thor 3, so hopefully we'll see some more of Sif in the next one.
Yeah, and then also you had Kat Dennings as Darcy.
Yep.
She was kind of comedic relief. But the thing is, then you even had Stellan Skarsgård.
He was crazy. Still crazy.
As also comic relief, and there's just a lot of comedy.
And then I want to butcher his name, but you have the actor. I can't even think of the actor from. He's in Girls on HBO. So he's an Irish actor. I think he's Irish. He has another show on HBO that just was released recently, a small comedy. Who plays
the intern?
Plays Portman's. Goes on a date with Portman.
Portman. Chris O'Dowd.
Chris O'Dowd from also Bridesmaids. That's the bigger movie that he's known for. But he was great. He's a comedic actor, and he's great. They had the comedic. It wasn't just like banter like Joss Whedon writes. It was more like these were like comedic set pieces.
Yeah.
I mean, they were really well done. I was surprised by that.
Okay. Well, let's give our overview and grades before we get into a spoiler section. Personally, I'm going to give it a B+. I think it's very entertaining, enjoyable, a lot of good comedy. It's a good pace, a lot of good action. Yeah. Only complaints are like the story could be better, the villain could be better. You're definitely not going to see this movie for an awesome story.
Yeah.
The Thor Loki dynamic, I think, is the best part of it, in story-wise and character-wise. But yeah, I think you should check it out.
I give it an A-. I give it a little bit higher. I liked it a lot more than the first, even though I still like the first one. I just love the mythology behind it. I love the comedy. So I would give it more. The action was better. I actually enjoyed this more than Iron Man 3. Not to say that Iron Man 3... See, the weirdest thing, Iron Man 3 is it is a good movie. Robert Downey gave a better performance maybe than Hemsworth did, just because his performance called for more than just being, what Hemsworth is doing. But I just had more fun with this movie. Kind of like we went to go see Star Trek Into Darkness. I had a lot of fun with this movie. So I get A-.
Okay. All right, so let's get into some spoilers-filled section. So if you've already seen the movie, if you haven't seen the movie, go check it out. If you already have, then stick around with us. So what were your favorite sequences or scenes?
Favorite scenes. Again, there's some of the small comedic set pieces. I loved towards the end when Thor goes into Jane's, I guess it's her mother's apartment, and like he's just such a fish out of water. Like he just like he sees this like coat rack. He's like, he just like hangs his hammer. I'm surprised the hammer didn't crush it, but it's just some of the small comedic moments when Thor was going into the train station at the end, and just like, what's the way to get to Greenwich? And he's like, it's 3 ways. Like, it's just all
when he gets in the car with Jane Foster.
Yeah, he's all like big and kind of uncomfortable. He's kind of doing this, and he's like, who's this young? It's just some of the moments are just. It was just a comedy. It came so after Loki dies. Yeah. He doesn't. It doesn't die. But it's all somber. They're in that cave together, and then all of a sudden,
rings.
phone rings, and that rap music comes on. Like it never got too serious, which I liked. How about you? What were some of your favorite scenes?
Yeah, and you had the kind of the warping of when they warped Darcy kissing the intern.
Right. That was good. Yeah,
that was funny. Let's talk about Loki's death. So at the end they reveal that he's not dead.
I mean, for the trailer, the problem is trailers reveal so much. Like when Thor got his hand cut, it really wasn't.
No.
I mean, you kind of knew they were planning something, but it was well done though. I thought the actors did a great job. I love their chemistry. It was a great trick. They had,
They can't kill Loki because he's so well loved.
Right.
They, all the especially like the fangirls are gonna go crazy if you
But
kill him.
where's Odin?
See, that's the thing. That's the question. What happened to him? I don't think he's dead.
No.
I think if he had died, they would have shown it.
Well, because he did that one moment where he was like, ugh, like he had that grunt and he kind of had to lean. Like you could tell he's getting old.
I think he's imprisoned. I think Loki took him and put him somewhere. I don't know where. Hid him away in some sort of prison.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's dead. But they kind of ended it so that Thor 3 we'll get to see Loki somehow maybe as Odin controlling things from behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to be the main villain again or if
he'll be probably like in there because he already said he wasn't going to be involved in Avengers 2. He's not going to have a big role in it. Maybe he'll show up, but he's not going to have a big role. They're going to focus on something else. So. Yeah.
Now that it's Age of Ultron, that makes sense. Maybe with Avengers 3 when they do Thanos and everything. Speaking of Thanos, there was 2 end credit scenes or after credit scenes. One was kind of mid credits. One was at the end. The one at the end is just kind of silly.
Yeah,
it's not like anything major.
No.
It's just Thor and Jane Foster kissing and then that monster thing chasing some birds. The mid-credit scene, on the hand, was significant because it plays into the whole Guardians of the Galaxy Thanos thing. Personally, I found it kind of silly. I don't know why, but it looked like they shot it on a lesser camera. Because Thor 2 was shot on the Alexa, and I could tell from the after-credit scene that it was definitely not the same standard of camera.
And I wouldn't let that be a sign of what Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm sure that was probably rushed a little bit because Benicio at Comic-Con just said that he was, I think he had just been at London just recently getting ready to start shooting. So I'm sure they'd probably just pump that out real fast. But just seeing Benicio acting all crazy. I love Benicio. He's one of my favorite actors. So just seeing him acting all crazy as a collector, I'm happy to see that in the fully realized movie, this it was just kind of like, whatever. But this does lead into the whole thing about the Infinity Stones and the Infinity Gauntlet and how he has one of, he needs 5
and how they're changing it because in the comic book series, they had different gems, like a soul gem and a whatever gem.
Right.
I can't remember all the names. But in this, they're taking existing power sources like the Tesseract / Cosmic Cube and making that one of the Infinity Gems.
Right.
Taking this ether and making it an Infinity Gem. So they're taking these other existing entities and turning those into the power sources for the Infinity Gauntlet versus what it was in the comic book series.
Right, yeah, it's changing a little bit. That's a series that I never got a chance to read. I'd like to. You can pick it up on Comixology or you're on Amazon, whatever. You can get it the whole. I want to read it, but yeah, I think that's going to be interesting to see. I'm excited for Guardians of the Galaxy. That's what that got me excited seeing all that. I guess I need to mention, we talk about favorite scenes, I need to mention, because I'm sure people will get on us if we don't mention this, is that the Captain America cameo.
Oh,
I almost forgot about that. You got to mention the Captain America. That was great. Yeah.
Actually, that was probably when I laughed the most.
Was
that
was
sequence
great.
when he came
Chris
in.
Evans.
Yeah, Chris Evans imitating Loki, or Tom Hiddleston playing Loki, and I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah, I'd be curious to, ask the Think Hero community if you went to see it in IMAX 3D like Dennis and I just did. If you saw the Captain America footage, it was maybe
5 minute fight sequence in the elevator.
Looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. That's the next one. We'll see.
I thought the fight scene with the Frigga was pretty cool, even though it was short.
I know, Renee Russo's gone now. I wanted her to be alive still, because I was like, oh, they finally gave her something to do, and she was badass.
Yeah, it was a short sequence, but it was pretty cool. She kicked Malekith's ass.
Yeah, took him down.
Yeah, and I liked her funeral sequence too. It was like a Viking funeral.
That was nice. Yeah, this movie's basically Lord of the Rings and Star Wars kind of meshed and elements of those movies meshed together.
You got Game of Thrones thrown in there too.
And Alan Taylor doing Game of Thrones. It's great. Yeah, I hope he directs the next one.
I hope so too. I think after this they will.
It's doing really well.
I think he'll get a lot more offers now. Because they're like, oh, he can do it, He can
do a big budget movie, so, yeah.
I mean, my favorite parts were those Thor and Loki scenes, especially when they're in that kind of like Star Wars skiff thing.
The fight,
when they're going towards...
that secret entrance or that secret path that only Loki knows how to get out of Asgard, yeah.
Well, when Jane Foster's kind of out of it, they're already in the dark world. And, and they're just having those conversations about, how much... You could tell that they still care for each other, but they hate each other. And Thor doesn't really hate Loki; he just can't trust him. And Loki's just envious, and but they are brought together by their bond of their mother dying, which I thought was great. I mean, with Loki, one of my favorite scenes was when Loki reveals how he really is after his mother's death.
I like that,
to Thor. At first he tried to give this impression that, oh, I'm fine.
And Thor knew it. He called him out. He's like, I know you're not fine on this,
Yeah.
Now, too, I got to give some shout out to Idris Elba. It was nice seeing Heimdall. Get a little bit more, a little bit more screen time.
Yeah, a little bit more. I mean, I love him as an actor. Yeah. I just think it's kind of a waste because in Marvel they won't use the same actor in a different role. Right. And so now you have Idris Elba as Heimdall in this role.
Black Panther or something.
Exactly. Yeah. I feel like he should be a lead character in another Marvel movie versus a side character.
There were two guys. I mean, the guy who was I keep saying Melchizedek. So the guy, the elf, the dark elf, his right-hand man from Lost. Who is African, who's a good actor. He's another guy. There's like two guys in this movie. I'm like, man, these guys would be great Black Panther guys. I don't know if we'll ever see if that ever happens, but I think they'd be both great guys for Black Panther.
Yeah.
But it's too late now. They're already,
already cast.
They're already cast.
And the reason why, like, Ray Stevenson can play another character, even though he was Punisher, is because the Punisher wasn't under Marvel's banner when he did it.
And I doubt anybody, unless you really know who he is, would recognize, like, that's Ray Stevenson,
It's as similar with, like, Chris Evans, like, he was Johnny Storm, Human Torch, but that was under Fox for Fantastic Four, and now he's Captain America.
Right.
So, but these two, now Idris Elba is under the Marvel banner, so can't be someone else, which I think is unfortunate.
Which also upsets me about Jamie Alexander. Perhaps maybe she can get out of this and do both. I would love her if you could do both, stay as Lady Sif and also be Wonder Woman. But I could be dreaming on that. I don't know.
I think she could do Wonder Woman because I think she's not a major character in this movie or even in this franchise, and maybe under her contract she can do something like that.
Yeah.
All right, guys, so you can post your comments below on the website, thinkhero.com, or on our YouTube channel, Think Hero Pro. Make sure you subscribe to that. And we're also on Twitter. You can come chat with us. I'm at Think Hero.
I'm at Griffin DE.
And we also have a Facebook page. That's facebook.com/ThinkHeroFans. Make sure you like that page and share our videos and tweet it and all that good stuff.